Would you do roll call for us?
Armstrong. Addie.
Here.
Here.
Stallman.
Here.
Stanish.
Here.
Warren.
Here.
And Watson.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is to review and approve the meeting minutes from May 8th, 2025.
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I know there was a question, I don't know if it was resolved regarding the minutes. Okay, then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Next item on our agenda today is unfinished business. The first item is text amendment to section 5.3, accessory building structures and usages. And we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. So good evening, Commissioners, and as we already mentioned, our first agenda item is the amendments to Section 5.3 accessory building structures and uses. We've been going over this the last couple meetings now, and based on the conversations mostly around item number 9 on page 3 of 4 on that. Those revisions are the accessory dwelling units, and there was comments by the commission to not include detached accessory dwelling units, so that language has been amended to only include attached. So essentially, if someone wanted to create another housekeeping unit that is attached to the home, that would be allowed, but nothing for any reason could be like in a barn or another detached tiny home, as some people may call it, could be constructed. So it would only be attached, and it would still have to meet all the requirements of the other zoning ordinances, so bulk requirements, setbacks, and all building code regulations as well. So that was the main change there, and then also you'll see item B as well on page 3 there towards the bottom is just detached accessory units or detached accessory buildings for commercial and industrial districts. That was just to regulate detached buildings in those districts, as the previous ordinance currently doesn't have any language regarding that. So this just gives more flexibility for businesses instead of having to be regulated by residential accessory code. It's going to be a little bit more lenient, but it still requires buildings to be located in the rear or side yard. If you guys wish to only have it in the rear yard, we can change that to keep it only in that location. So as to be subject to all bulk requirements for the district they're in, as well as maintaining a 10-foot distance between all other principal and accessory buildings. So if there's any major questions relating to that, I'd be happy to answer them right now. So thank you.
Okay.
Sure. As we've been looking at this, I have been, hung up on the issue that we have a habitable space portion of this ordinance that, regulates the ability to, have space in the house, already. And, this expands it. I know I'm glad to see it's not detached anymore. But I'm still, wanted to look at combining those because it seems like they say the same thing.
Yeah, with habitable space, it's strictly, I'm reading from the ordinance right now, it mentions detached accessory buildings. So that was my main reason to include it as an ADU for attached. So if you want, I can just loop that into number 7 there for habitable space and include attached language and then kind of mesh those two together if that would be easier for everyone to read.
Well, I think along with that is, I don't like the detached portion of that. I like it attached. I think when you have a detached habitable space, you're then, more likely to have to fight, is it a relative, is it not a relative, is it a Airbnb now, being rented out? And, the enforcement of that is nearly impossible to determine, who's using the space,
Yeah.
So for me, I'd like to have even the habitable space removed out of there, or at least have it changed to be attached to
Okay.
the house.
Yeah, so with that being said, Do you want to just strike this from the agenda and work on the other going forward? Matt?
If the, the commission is willing to make that request, we could ask the planner to, update the ordinance to have the language be only for
Habitables.
attached, as opposed to.
Attached habitable space.
Yeah.
Are we comfortable with the accessory dwelling unit language being substitute out the habitable space language, or do we want to strike number 9 entirely and just, for habitable space, switch detached with attached, essentially?
Well, the, number 9, if everything is attached, I think number 9 puts more, ability to regulate it. So I think, taking number 9 and, calling it habitable space and it's attached, I think that, makes me feel more comfortable.
Okay. So we're all comfortable with can't exceed 50% of the floor area, 1 acre in size, only 1 habitable space unit per lot. Owners still continue the principal residence, can't be occupied by more than 4 people, meeting the definition of a family as by the ordinance, and then setbacks, and then also, excuse me, the mobile home, shipping container, trailers on wheels, still keep all of that in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just to, reiterate, for me, I'd like to see the number 8, which is habitable space, be allowed on an attached accessory building, and then, put in, number 9 as the detail of what habitable, or we can call it accessory dwelling.
Okay.
Whichever.
Yeah?
Chair, I've got just a question. So what you're saying, just so I'm clear, if I want to put an addition on my house, and it's just an addition, you're saying that only people can stay in that addition would be a family member?
Yes.
This would be kind of a little bit different, so in addition, if you just wanted to add like a living room or a bedroom, that would just be regulated as an accessory structure, but if this was meant to be a completely separate housekeeping unit, so like kitchen, bedrooms, bathrooms, pretty much adding all those amenities onto already an existing home, so that way, like if you had in-laws or relatives that
Like
needed
an
space.
apartment, like you add an
Kind of.
apartment onto your house?
For lack of a better term,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, just for clarity, okay.
Yes, this would be basically if you're adding an apartment
Okay.
on there, it could only be habited by a relative, so that we're not creating rental space
Right.
in residential areas.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so I can make those changes very easy, and we can have that for you all for the next meeting. Were we also comfortable with the commercial and industrial district language for
Yeah, I
accessory
didn't see an
structures?
issue with that.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
so if we're comfortable as a commission just to tackle this at our next meeting, we can do that and
Right.
make a motion to table until, and what I believe we should be having is a special meeting on September 11th too, so
Right.
there should be more information regarding that coming out soon, so
Yeah,
we
I'll
can.
make the motion to table it for the next meeting.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, all opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item B is consider approval of proposed site plan for 50637 Bemis Road. Okay, again, it's your turn.
Commissioners, the applicant is here today, so if you'd rather hear from him, for him to discuss his changes to the site plan too, we can also do that, or if you want to hear from me first, I'm open to either or.
Okay, well, why don't we let the the person making the request talk first?
Did you have anything to say to the commission, or?
Whatever you recommended, we're gonna follow your request and your fix. The engineer's supposed to send me the site plan by tomorrow, so I'll send it to you, but I have the permit
No poles anymore?
No poles. And we have one sign on the building.
No monument signs?
So now I guess it is your turn. He
All right.
doesn't want to talk.
Sounds good. So as you may remember, our last commission meeting, we reviewed a site plan special land use for the above address along Bemis Road, and the special land use was conditionally approved by the commission, subject to site plan approval. So this is what we are looking at today, is a revised site plan that was submitted by the applicant. Let's see. There were some previous boxes checked with the revised plans, so I'll just be going, just kind of through my review piece by piece, just saying what outstanding items we still have, so.
Okay.
On page 4, the first item would be the Wayne County approval within the Bemis Road right-of-way. The applicant just previously mentioned that he has gotten approval for that, for work to be done, so we can strike that off. And then Sam, did we have any confirmation by the Township Fire Department regarding site circulation? Okay, so that will still be outstanding. We did receive a engineering letter from our engineering consultant, Hennessy, for the project. And I believe that has been provided to you also. For which the engineer did review and recommend approval for planning commission purposes only. Once the site plan is approved, there will need to be more detailed engineering drawings that were all the items that were listed by engineer will be tackled and handled before building permits could be handed out. So with that in mind, the township engineer is recommending approval for the site plan only. For parking and loading, the revised site plan is missing just one ADA parking space, so with previous conversation with the applicant, that should be changed in the next iteration, so that will need to stay on at least for now, though.
Okay.
Regards to the landscape plan, there still needs to be a 10% general landscaping calculation provided on the plans. There already is extensive landscaping proposed on the landscape plan, so we have no doubt that he will be exceeding those requirements. Just per ordinance requirements, we need to have that on the plan. There is no irrigation proposed, so I would ask the applicant to, after my review, step forward and ask and maybe clarify with the commission how you plan to upkeep the landscape material if there is no irrigation. And also, we will need to see a 3-foot separation measurement between the back of the curb for the parking lot and the proposed landscaping as it's shown all the way around the parking lot. With essential facilities and services, the engineers already listed that detailed plans will need to be provided during that detailed engineering review. So if the commission is comfortable with what is proposed, we can send that forward, but keep that as a condition of approval, that the township engineer will need to approve those utility plans. And then as we just went about, there are no pole-mounted light fixtures now, it's only building-mounted. And a photometric plan was provided by the applicants, and with that in mind, we feel without the pole-mounted structures, the lighting would be adequate. So we have no issues there. And then as we previously also just talked about, there will only be one wall sign shown on the building, so we will need to have that provided with a separate building application to the building department to make sure that ordinance requirements are being met. And in regards to the special land use considerations, we just have a couple confirmations that if the applicant's ready can confirm that, just to make sure that there are no sort of outside activities, it's all going to be conducted indoors. Perfect. We'll just want to see a note on the plans when you resubmit, just to have that confirmed. And then no sort of salvage material or any parts going to be stored outside, it's not going to be inside. Perfect. As we already said, there's going to be no banners or flags, just the wall sign. And then no loudspeakers, I would assume, either. Okay.
Sure, if I could ask Joe, the planner, a question. As far as the building itself, you know, what exactly is the front of the building going to look like? Is there going to be, is it just a steel building, or are we gonna have a building look, feel like a brick face, you know, part of the face would be bricked in the front?
Steel building, probably 4-foot wall of bricks, blocks.
There-
Windows, nice doors, and then the garage goes in the back.
And is that gonna be part of the plan where, you know, it'll show it's gonna be blocks, or, you know, it's not just like a steel building, you know, that we're.
There was a building elevation provided too.
Yep, I seen that, I didn't see any, you know, architectural where, you know, it would have the block, you know, that doesn't show the block, that's why I asked the question.
Okay, we can definitely condition that on the next site plan, provided that those details are kind of enhanced.
This office,
Mhm.
and that is gonna be,
Right, and so this is the front, so what we're talking about is having, you know, block or brick, you know, coming up, so it doesn't look like you were looking at a pole bar, you know, so, okay. Thank you. A finished building, you know, okay.
Are there any other questions by the commission?
No.
So I'm just going through my, just my recommendations on the last page to see exactly how many items we've checked off here. Well, with the special meeting date in mind for September, I think I would still recommend the planning commission just table this until the next meeting, so revised plans by the applicant will have all these items checked off, and then by that time, there should be maybe, if only just circulation approval by the fire department, so. And then within that time, that'll give them more time to send that review letter in, and then hopefully by September, we'll have all the boxes checked, so. If the commission is comfortable with tabling that, I would recommend it, but if they're also comfortable with conditional approval, we can also move that route as well.
Well, considering that the special meeting's only about a month away.
Right.
So, yeah. I make the motion that we table it for the special meeting in September.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, so we'll table that.
And,
Okay.
Chair, if I could just confirm with Joe, so, when we come back and you'll have all of the items that are checked off, completed, the signage, you know, that they're gonna have on there, instead of where it says no signage, this will be completely updated so that we have a good solid record of what we're approving. The lighting, you know, pole and things that are on here outstanding, all that will be removed for us.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is to consider the approval for proposed land, special land use at 25891 Sumpter Road.
You got a long list on this one too, Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just also going through, because right now we're on the this topic of the special land use, so I'm making sure that. Okay, so you'll see for the special land use consideration, on my final page 9 of the reports, items 10 through 14 are the outstanding special land use items to be addressed. So the first of which is that wheel stops and an accessible pedestrian walking path should provide for all parking spaces. As of right now, there's only a small pedestrian path kind of right outside the building. That path should be extended, in my opinion, to the very northern parking space as well. And then also, the applicant is in the building today, so I'd ask them to confirm that no salvage material is gonna be outside of the building once business operations start. Also confirming if there's any banners or flags, those are prohibited, so those will not be allowed. And then, in my opinion, in addition to the greenbelt plantings on the landscape plan, which we'll get to in a moment here, a wall of acceptable building material should also be included to ensure that the screening from the residential use on the southern side is very effective. So, and also just confirm that no loudspeaker systems are going to be used as well. So if the applicant could just answer those few questions right now, we can strike those off. Yeah, so the first one is providing wheel stops and that pedestrian path all the way up throughout the whole thing.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
We're gonna provide that.
so that would need to be shown in revised plans. Then no salvage material going to be outside, just fully operable cars. Flags or banners? And no loudspeakers?
No.
Okay. So with that in mind, items 10 and 13 should still be maintained, so that would be the pedestrian walking path and wheel stops, and then also the screening wall in addition to the greenbelt planting. So we can keep that as part of the motion, but I'll leave it up to the commission to decide if those two items are worth tabling the special land use consideration until the revised site plan shows that. So I'll leave the commission up to answer or ask any questions to the applicants or make that motion.
Chair, I did have a follow-up. At our last meeting, when we asked Sammy about the condition of the property, because there was residents that were upset about that, he indicated he was not involved at all down there.
That's correct.
And so, you know, the application is for Sammy Auto Sales. So we need to try to figure out what exactly is happening, because that's what his response was: I'm not responsible for anything that happens down there. And so that leaves us at a bad position, because this is for Sammy Auto Sales, who, you know, is saying he's not responsible for what happens there. So,
Well, no, theoretically, the owner is responsible of it, but until we get this process, he's just operating temporarily. There's gonna be a different.
but you understand what I'm saying? He's saying he's operating but not responsible for what happens
No,
on the site.
owner is responsible, we take the responsibility on it.
Well, I think we have to have your name on the application at that point. You know, he's the applicant, and he's saying he's not responsible for what happens down there, and that causes a problem for
Understand,
us,
but,
yeah.
you know, saying and doing is a different thing, you know?
Right, but you're asking us to approve a special land
No,
use
no,
for
I-
Sammy Auto Sales,
Yeah,
and
it's
Sammy
not
Auto
Sammy's.
Sales is saying, I'm not involved down there.
Yeah, we can add them,
So-
nothing.
I mean, Joe, I think I'd just, you know, leave it to you to try to figure that out, because that really bothered me from the last meeting, because, you know, we were trying to, you know, answer questions from the residents, and he was very adamant that, you know, I'm not involved, which means who do we take to court? Sammy Auto Sales?
No.
Unfortunately, if we approve it for him, that's who we have to take to court.
Yeah,
Right.
the engineering made it under the owner's name.
Okay, I mean, so, Joel, I just need to ask you to kind of figure out the paperwork part of this, because what we have before us is an application for Sammy Auto Sales, and that's where the problem comes in, right?
I will coordinate with Sam, Deputy Clerk, to make sure that we look over that application, and whatever name is on the application, we can also, that'll be the point of contact.
Yeah, if it needs an edit, I mean, I don't know, you know.
So, yeah, even if the business name is Sammy Auto Sales, but the owner and the applicant name is the applicant here today, then,
You mean the owner of the business or the property? Sammy Auto Sales is owned by Sammy. That's where the issue came in, when he threw up his hands. I'm not responsible when they brought up how the condition of the property, so that's why I wanted to bring that up. We need to make sure who we're approving tonight is the person that's gonna be down there, and, you know, he threw his hands up and said, I'm not responsible.
yeah, we will confirm the applicant and the property owner, make sure that they're the parties mentioned in the approval.
Okay. Yeah, just so we have it right, right?
I got it. You ready?
Okay.
And that's for the special land use. Right, okay.
Correct, so the outstanding items for the special land use consideration is the accessible pedestrian walking path and the wheel stops for the parking lot. And then also adding the screening wall in addition to the Bell landscaping material. So as of right now, the plans do not show that, so we would, those are still outstanding.
Okay. That was all my questions, Chairman.
Okay.
Just for clarification.
So yeah, right now, as a commission, you guys can either conditionally approve the special land use or, table it until an approved site plan is, approved by you as well. And I would recommend that we hold off on the special land use and wait for the revised site plan to address those special land use considerations. And as I said, there is the September 11th meeting coming up, so that should hopefully give them enough time to get some revised plans and then hopefully, check those boxes off.
Clear up the other issue as well.
You can get the right names on it.
Mhm.
So I'll make the motion that we table it, so that they get the site plan in order.
Okay.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. So then we don't do the site plan today.
We can still go over the
Okay.
site plan if you guys want.
Okay. So last, item D is, consider approval for proposed site plan of 25891 Sumpter Road. Okay.
I don't know, I'd say we can go over it, but I think if there's issues with the site plan, why go over it now, and we're just gonna discuss it again in September. So I say we table that as well.
Okay.
I make the motion that we table that as well.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. That's been tabled too, until September 11th. Okay,
And I do want to note, Commissioners, one of my outstanding items for the application is the parking orientation right now. Right now, there's 90-degree parking, and the maneuvering lane width of the property is too thin. So what that's going to require is either a variance with the Board of Zoning Appeals by the applicant or showing a revision of the parking orientation. I'd be happy to go over more with you guys next week when I'm back in the office if you guys want, but either you need a variance or you're gonna have to kind of change the angle of the parking spaces to meet that requirement, so.
Whatever you suggest, that's what we're gonna do. Okay with you next week.
okay. Next item on our agenda is open floor. Do we have anybody signed in that wants to talk back there? Sign-in sheet, nobody? Oh, okay. You wanna go to the podium and state who you are and where you live?
Hi, my name is Kay Harris. I live on Sumpter Road. I am south of Sammy's Junkyard. And in 45 days, they will have been on the property for a year. And there has been no septic tank put in, no parking lot work done, no two ways, one way in and one way out has not been rectified as for fire purposes. And I'm still hoping for a firewall. Safety should be first at this point, because in a year's time, nothing on the site plan has been done. Some rocks are sitting out front that he can take home when everything's said and done. That's the only thing I don't even think that was part of the site plan. He put some rocks out. Safety is first is what I'm hoping for. In the meantime, because shipping and receiving, working, and parts are outside, has been going on. I would like to suggest that there be no work until we put a safety wall up. For a whole year, they've been bringing in, shipping and receiving, bringing in cars, working on them, doing everything that I thought they had to do. They had to modify the property. That's not happening. So, at this point, I'm begging that you put a firewall on that site plan. Give me a couple of minutes to get out. That might be all I need. I might need more, but it's still more than not having a firewall at all. I'd rather have that firewall and not need it than to not have that firewall and I perish. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Chair?
Okay.
I apologize, I want to go back, because there was one issue here, and Ms. Harris reminded me of it. The, engineer noted in number 6 that, and that was something that came up in the last meeting, about the resolution of the property line with the house to the south. I want to make sure that, that's noted with the plan, and, it's not overlooked, because obviously you need that sooner than later, to get that resolved, because I don't think the engineer is going to fully approve the plan until they know how that's resolved with the house being over the property line
So
itself.
what exactly you need?
I think they have to have the engineers looking for the setbacks and having that issue resolved, whether, I know previous owner had promised to give that property to that owner if we approved the special land use for him last time, which obviously he didn't do if the property line issue hasn't been resolved, so. So I just wanted to bring that up, that, I don't know how it gets resolved, because my understanding was that house and the building were together on a singular piece of property, then they
At
split.
one point.
Yeah, then they split it off, and somehow the property line got split with it going right through that addition, that's right there, so. I just wanted to make sure that, that's not overlooked in the resolution there. And I don't know how that gets done, you have to talk with.
So far, what we did with the neighbor, we tried to calm the spirits, and we told him that we're gonna help him. We
Mhm.
move all the cars they were sitting right next to him.
Mhm.
So we only keep one towards him. This way we give him free space and all that. But as soon as you guys approve it, we're gonna run a fence through there as a firewall, as a not see inside and all that.
Right.
And we're gonna give him more than enough, because his septic field runs right next to our septic.
Right, yeah, and I don't know how they put an agreement together to resolve the issue, but I mean, I know the issue is that, with him having the encroachment, it has to be resolved somehow.
So having something in writing from the neighbor, where we're gonna agree to put the fence, it will work for you?
I'd have
I mean,
to,
for
yeah,
the
I'd have to leave it,
planning.
I'd have to leave it for the planner, because the issue is that, you have a house on your property, and that, has to be either, I think, permanently resolved, where you're either deeding him that land, or I don't know how it would be resolved legally, to solve it, because it hadn't been solved yet. It was supposed to have been solved when the last.
It's my first rodeo like this too.
Yeah,
I never had,
right. I guess I'd have to relieve it to the planner to say how can
because
that
we
be
definitely, we
resolved.
can't cut the house in half,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well,
Right.
at the last meeting, he agreed that he was gonna deed part of that property and make it illegal,
Right.
so
And
then
we're talking
he would
about
have to
Mr.
do that.
Chapman.
Yeah.
When we approved that, he came to the meeting and said he was gonna deed him the
Yeah.
property if we
We
approved
gotta
it.
approve Mr. Chapman, because it's
Yeah.
all wrong. We gotta make it happen,
Yeah.
what we are here.
Right.
Mhm.
And we do know, and neighbor know, and we're willing to work with each other and make it happen.
Yep.
the right way.
Joe, I don't know if you could maybe recommend how they get a permanent resolution to that, is acceptable to the
That's my
township,
question.
right, yeah.
That's my question,
Yeah.
because anything needs to be done, we will do
Yeah.
it, and we would agree also with the
Right.
neighbor.
I don't know, like a permanent easement, permanent, deed, we'll have to refer it to the attorneys that litigate that stuff to be able to tell us what's the permanent
I'm gonna
resolution.
meet Joe next week, So this way, Joe, I'll have it on my list so I can ask you,
Yep.
if you make some studies, and let me know
Yep.
the way you wanna handle.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
make sure next time when we get the planning, we have everything ready.
Yeah.
Yep.
Make sense?
No, it's good. I just wanna make sure it didn't fall off the
No.
list, so.
There is one more thing I do want to bring to the commission's attention. That would be the hard service requirement. So with all site plans for commercial uses, all surfaces used on the premises by vehicles have to be hard surfaced with asphalt or pavement. So as of right now, that requirement is still standing, and that is something that the commission has to make that decision on, whether or not they want to waive that requirement. And if not, then revised plans we need to show that, because with the engineer's report, they do mention that the grading plan is not approved, as your determination will have that effect on it. So, we've already closed that agenda item, but I think we still should include this in the minutes as open floor as what the commission's preference is. So that way, what that preference is, the applicant can then work based on that, instead of having us come back in September and then make that decision and push it back even more.
I'm in the frame of mind that if the engineers are recommending a hard surface, it needs to be a hard surface.
Yeah,
So that's where I stand on it.
that's
I
where
think
I'm
it's,
at.
it's what the ordinance requires.
Yeah.
And the engineers are, saying there had to be a variance.
Right.
No, I'm not gonna approve a variance.
Yeah, I think it's hard surface.
Hard
and-
surface.
Yeah,
Okay?
We're good with South Dakota.
Okay.
okay.
Just make sure that's in your plan, so when you come back in September.
Yep. And also, all the stuff has gotta be marked for the parking.
Yep.
So are there any other guests that would like to speak or ask a question?
I have a question. Has the fire marshal been out to the property?
I don't know.
That would be a question that you'd have to ask
The fire marshal.
the township offices itself, not this
That's not
commission.
a
I think-
requirement, there'll be more than one way in and out.
We can't speak on that, but I believe
Yeah.
that happens after.
One of the outstanding items in my review is approval by the fire department. So as of, to my knowledge, we haven't received that, so that'll still be something that is needed before we can approve the site plan.
Yep, still outstanding.
Safe storage for lithium. Safe storage for lithium batteries, that's my concern, that they pop off when they get ready.
If there's any sort of that storage there, then yeah, fire marshal will have the conversation with the applicant regarding that safe storage, so that will be handled.
Chair, if I may? There was the Tri-Community Planning Commission meeting on July 30th. I was able to attend that, and there was talk about something that had been mentioned a few years back, as to bringing together everyone from all three cities in 48111 and creating a subcommittee to attract businesses coming into the area, and doing so by having what's called the subcommission for this, and making a master plan for all three combined into one, so essentially a tri-master plan. From my understanding, when we're talking about grants, with our population, sometimes we have a hard time getting those approved. If we combine ourselves with Van Buren and Belleville, the chances of getting those grants approved are 100 times more likely. So this was brought up to have whoever wants to be involved in the subcommittee again in trying to create this and get some momentum on this again.
Okay, but when this was first brought up over 5 years ago, it's not whoever wants to be involved to be able to do what we've talked about, and we mentioned this in our February meeting before you joined us from our last meeting, that we have to be able to have the same guidelines and protocol like we do with this planning commission, so that the township officials pick the 1, 2, 3, whatever number of members to be it, and then we have to have the right guidance from our attorneys from the three, and it's divided up. A lot of the grants you're talking about are divided up based on head count and community count and everything.
Is this something you're still interested in doing? I understood from your email, you had said that you wanted to be a part of it, as did I.
Absolutely, since I was
Okay.
there at the beginning, and so was Matt.
I think probably the next steps are to get, or to have the commission recommend that our attorney or township manager start having communications with Belleville and Van
Right.
Buren to figure this out, because, you know, as Jane mentioned, you mentioned a very small piece of it. It goes even deeper to the accounting, you know, when the grants are applied for, paying for, you know, the expenses of the commission. All of those things have to be kind of laid out in a tri-community agreement. So that, you know, well, if we do get a $100,000 grant for a specific project, you know, is that project, you know, a third in Van Buren, you know, 50% in Belleville, and then the remaining percentage in Sumpter, you know, and how that money's gonna be accounted for, you know, you know, you have a treasurer that for Sumpter who has to make an arrangement with the treasurers of the other communities where that money's gonna come to, how it's gonna be held. You know, could be, we could give the authority to have Belleville hold it, you know, all those things gotta kind of be worked out, and it does take some detail, which I'm sure this is not recreating the wheel. I'm sure there's other communities that are doing this, so we would,
Right.
you know, probably have a good guide, and there's probably some good resources with the MTA, but you know, I would love to see us be able to get some of those grant funds funneled into our community, you know, that are coming through, by us being able to tap into
Right.
population requirements that might be a part of those grants.
Right. And remember when John introduced it at that meeting when we were at Van Buren, he reminded all of us sitting in there that we would need to have our bylaws all set up and all of our bank accounts and all of the other things that we need to do. And Joe
Yeah.
works with John, and we need to do all of that before we even start asking for grants.
Right, and so I think we should, you know, ask officially, you know, as part of our minutes, that we ask the township board to direct the attorney to look at, you know, a tri-community planning group and do the planning phase of it, right? We don't need members for
Right.
something that has to get planned, and, you know, hopefully, you know, we'll be able to, you know, get Van Buren and Belleville to agree and move that forward.
Right.
So.
Well, Ron Akins from Van Buren is the one that said he would, when, last August, he said he would be glad to spearhead whatever needed to and get the different planning companies that we use, because we don't all use the same one,
Right.
have their representatives help us
Yeah,
and step
it'd
in
be
and do that.
fantastic. I mean, you could look at getting grants for pedestrian walkways that go through 3 communities, you know, and have those grants, you know, paying for those type of projects that benefit all 3 communities at the same time.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and McNamara at that meeting mentioned handicap playgrounds, and I said, well, you could put it in Sumpter.
That's right. So I think, you know, as part of our open floor, we should, you know, make that request for the township board to consider, you know, developing a tri-community planning commission.
Make the motion, Matt, and I'll second it.
I just did.
Okay, and I second it.
All in favor of sending that proposal to the township board?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Did, Nicole, did they mention when the next meeting was? Did they decide that?
Yes, I
Okay.
apologize, let me look for that.
Tell them to do it a little later. It's
Well,
hard for me to get
I
to
asked
5.
them to do at least 2, 3 of them, but not like in summer in January, you know, like maybe in August, October, November.
November 13th.
November 13th, okay.
And I won't be here.
We won't be able to be there.
Are you going hunting?
Veterans Day is the 12th, I believe. And-
No, it's the 11th.
11th.
Is it the 11th?
Yes.
Always the 11th.
So we're moving, is that a Tuesday?
Mhm.
Okay, so then, I'm sorry, I missed the dates, because we just moved our board meeting from Tuesday to Wednesday.
So you're
Okay.
good for Thursday?
So if it's Thursday, yes.
Yes, it is Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, is it
I
at
thought that was
the-
the dates of the 12th.
Is it
Same location, it will be
Belleville High
at
School?
Belleville High School in the
Okay.
cafeteria.
Okay,
Please tell them 6 o'clock works much better.
It is at 6.
So I do want
Oh.
to note that November 13th, I believe, is a regularly scheduled planning commission meeting here as well. So
oh,
we'll have to confirm that, and then maybe we
I think
can,
you're right, yeah.
maybe reschedule if the
Reschedule
commission
it.
is interested in going to that tri-meeting.
Okay.
So just a heads up, we can work out those details later.
okay, another
Thank
one
you.
of the items that came up last August is they wanted to know if Sumter was ever gonna host one of the meetings. So we should probably think about there's a lot of people involved, so we'd have to do it over at the community center, like we did a couple of the not-so-fun meetings. Okay. Any other members have anything to say or question, ask? Any other guests have anything else? No? Okay. Next item on the agenda is adjournment.
And I make the motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries.